Hi, I'm Wendy Huffman. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me, about how Bill Spalthoff and I met, and a little bit about how Project Zambia got started. I moved to Los Angeles in 2008 after the big crash. My first husband and I parted friends. Somebody told me about the Landmark Forum. It totally changed my life. It helped me to rebuild my life after, when your life is about raising kids and about being married. It's hard to, rediscover like who you are and what your life is for. And in Landmark, it gives you the tools and distinctions to do that. So anyway, I met Bill Spalthoff online about a year later. I actually invited him to an introduction as our first date. And then he said, well, if it's important to you, I'm going to check it out and see what it has to offer. And we actually used the tools and distinctions from Landmark to create our whole life together. The communication, creating possibility, really letting go of our past. We had so many wonderful, wonderful breakthroughs and things that happened. One of the things that happened in one of the seminars was that we were examining things that might be incomplete in our lives. And somebody asked Bill, what about the surgery that crippled you? And he said, oh, I forgave the surgeon a long time ago. It was an accident. It wasn't anything intentional. And they said, yeah, but do they know that? And out of that, he made a phone call to the doctor and told them that he was happy with his life and he didn't want them to have that accident ruin their life. And that was a huge, huge gift that he gave that doctor. What had happened was he had gone in for a tonsillectomy. He was actually very successful. He was vice president of mergers and acquisitions for AT&T for Asia, and he went in to get his tonsils taken out because he had sleep apnea. And the surgeon made a series of mistakes. Someone said she may have had a seizure or something and severed three of his carotid arteries, his vocal cord, and his esophagus. And it put him in he lost all the blood in his body 2.5 times, was in a coma, and was permanently disabled. So I didn't know him before that. And what was so amazing about him was who he was just like happy. He was just determined to be someone who had a good life and who was happy no matter what life threw at him or whatever challenges he faced. He was remarkable. I mean, he went to the gym determined to get use of his body back. He had alien hand syndrome, where he didn't always know what was going on with his arm and his hand, and it was, spastic a lot of time, drawn up. And I lived with him for 10 years, and I didn't even think of him as being disabled because of who he was about it. He didn't think of himself as being disabled. Bill wanted to travel. Well, first of all, so in 2013, we actually took a seminar in Landmark where you looked at dreams unfulfilled, and you had to promise in a 10-week period to take a dream off the shelf and make it happen. So we decided to pick travel. I'd never traveled, but I'd always dreamed of it, and he always wanted to show me the world. But we lived in LA, and we had a good life, but it was like to save up to actually do an immersion type of travel would take years. And so we came up with the idea of just selling it all and going. And so in 2013, that's what we did. We sold everything and we traveled South America for 2 years. Then we got notice. We were in Buenos Aires, actually. We lived in 7 countries. We were living in Buenos Aires when I got the news from my son that my first husband had cancer. And I mean, it was a minute discussion, and Bill's like, of course you have to go. And so I flew back to the States and helped my kids take care of their father until he passed. There wasn't room for Bill, and we were in a small house, and I slept on the couch or on a cot, and so Bill was okay with traveling, so he went and saw Asia. He was in Thailand. He lived in Thailand for 6 months, assisted in landmark forum there. After he passed, then Bill said, "When are you coming to Thailand?" And I said, I can't. I have to go spend time with my mom. And he said Nashville was not on the list of countries we were going to go see, but reluctantly he agreed, and we moved to Nashville. A year and a half ago, I think his dad became ill, and so there were multiple trips back and forth to California to help the family. And then he passed in October last year. My mom also, even though when we moved here, she was very, very sick, and she had like IBS and gout and arthritis, and she was in chronic pain all the time. And we helped her discover the foods that were making her sick, and put her, gave her options for a healthier diet. And they put her on hospice, and she took it seriously all of a sudden. And then within, it was November when she was on hospice. In May, she got off hospice to take a trip with me, and when she came back, she no longer qualified. They said she was too healthy. So that was 2017. She passed away in December. So finally, Bill and I had the conversation about travel, and I said, "I know you have to go. I know how important it is to you." He wanted to see Africa. His goal was 100 countries, and I think he was at like 46 or 47. So we agreed he would go ahead and go. I was going to start working from home as a life coach. I also do interior design. I've been doing that for 20 years. So I thought if I had my own business, then I could kind of schedule trips to go visit him. And so he went to Africa. He started out in Cape Town. He worked at a soup kitchen there. He was there for a few weeks. And then he went through Zimbabwe, he went to Namibia, and then he went to Livingstone, Zambia. So he was in Zambia for about 3 weeks, and he stayed at the Zambezi Cafe and Hotel, became very close with the hotel manager there, and they had coffee every morning. And the time difference is like 7 hours, so it'd be in the afternoon when it was 7 o'clock when he would call, and we'd talk for 2 hours every day, and he would just hand the phone to people like, "Here, talk to Wendy, here, talk to Wendy." So I felt like I knew a lot of the people that he was interacting with, and he told me how his day had gone and what he was going to do. I told him what I was going to do. It was just exciting. We were going to meet up in Kenya in June for our 10-year anniversary and for my birthday. He found the Youth Community Training Center, and he met Sister Maureen, and he told her his background and said, "How can I help?" And she said, "Would you like to come speak to the teachers?" And he said, "Sure, what do you want me to speak about?" And she said, "Talk about goal setting." So he was so excited, and we spent like 3 days on the phone writing, and he had difficulty writing, so I typed it up for him, and he practiced it, and we tweaked it a little bit and added some things and took out some things, and I sent it to him, and he printed it out, and he went and spoke, and that's the video that we have. And it was such a powerful, powerful speech, and I'm so glad that they recorded it. And then a week later, on April 12th, 2019, his birthday, his 55th birthday, he died of a stroke in his sleep. And we had talked on the phone. He had fainted. He said he didn't feel well. Lawrence, the hotel manager, offered to call the doctor or take him to the hospital. He said, no, I'll be okay. I'm just going to go to bed. And they checked on him and he had passed away. He told me many times in our time together that he did not want to survive another stroke. He already struggled so much with his disability. And he said if he didn't travel, if he couldn't travel, that to him, he just didn't want to live. And he knew that, you know, his brain had been compromised enough that if there was another stroke, that it would be debilitating. And I have peace in that. I have some peace with that, knowing that, you know, that, you know, in an odd way, this is what he would have chose. And anyhow, when I went to Zambia and I met all the people that he talked about, and I met Sister Maureen and Sister Elizabeth, and I toured the school and the Youth Community Training Center every day. After the speech, he was like, you have to do something to help the school. They're doing such good work. They give vocational training for disadvantaged youth, and they make such a difference. And he actually met one of the students at the hotel, and she told him about the difference that it had made for her to be able to get employment and be trained. So coming back, I was thinking of all the years that we talked about starting a nonprofit. I'd bought the domain names, gosh, in I think 2010, called Let's Make the Difference, and it inspired me to fulfill on the dreams that we had. And I thought, how can I make a difference for them? What can I do? And it occurred to me that the Landmark Forum would empower the leaders of the Youth Community Training Center to empower the young people about getting out of the way, whatever's in the way of them being powerful in their life and creating the things that they dreamed of. So I had conversations with Sister Maureen and with Lawrence and with the detective that helped investigate his death, and the teachers. They knew Bill and who he was, spoke so strongly to them. And then of course they met me, and they were so open, like, yes, we will do that. So there's 11 people from Zambia now registered in the Landmark Forum in Cape Town, South Africa, and it's coming up in 30 days. They're raising funds to go. The minimum wage in Zambia is about $53 a month. The airfare to get to Cape Town is about $450. They've been doing fundraisers. I've been doing fundraisers. We're causing a country. Like, we're going to take the Landmark Forum to Zambia, Africa. These 10 people are all leaders, and they're going to go back and they're going to share. My plan is to go to Cape Town in September and to go to Zambia afterwards. So, you know, we can cause something for this country. But I can't do it alone. I need your help in supporting and sharing the story about the Zambia Project and causing the transformation for leadership in Zambia. So thank you for listening. I hope that the story inspires you. I hope that you're interested in finding out more about landmarkworldwide.com and looking and seeing what's there for you and what's possible for your life. And I promise you it's extraordinary. And then if you'll just share the fundraiser, share the story, inspire people, make the difference. That's what Bill's video is. It's like set big goals and make a difference. He said, my goal is 100 countries, and this is my 50th, and I don't know if I'll live that long, but you should always set goals bigger than you think you can achieve. So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting a country at stake. And so thank you for joining with me and making the difference.